Hello, Astro friends. It's Melanie on July 30th, 2025, with the Astro Weather for the coming week going until August 5th. Yes, it's been a turbulent month astrologically and also quite recently geologically with the earthquake off the Russian coast 8.8 triggering a tsunami. Thankfully, as far as I've read or seen, nobody got killed, not much damage done, so lots of reasons to be grateful for this good luck within bad luck, or the effects being relatively minimal. So what's going on astrologically, you might wonder? In context, even with the earthquake, I came across a channel today that is mostly geological information, scientific research and compilation of factors, especially affecting the seismic activity on Earth. And this presenter actually also brought in the fact that we're coming up to the Mercury retro Sun conjunction. In other words, the inferior conjunction of Mercury going retrograde, passing the Sun, and then being in the zodiac behind the Sun. So he would say, I wasn't aware of that apparently during these inferior conjunction times, which happen 3 times a year, yes, during these phases, there is evidently an increased seismic activity. So what I commented on his YouTube was YouTube vlog there, and with this clip was there. Additionally, what we're having at this point is also the Sun and Mercury conjunction is opposite Pluto, and Pluto of course has to do with higher power, with force that individuals can't really control. We can only evolve with it. We can, it's the bigger transformation and the deeper changes that are going on. And of course it also, Pluto also rules subterranean activities. So an extra factor, plus we are also approaching next week's full moon, where the Sun and Mercury retrograde, last days of retro on August 9th, will be opposite the moon, of course, and Pluto in Aquarius. So the build-up time for that, I can totally also see a connection with this manifesting like this on planet Earth. So what does the Sun-Mercury retro conjunction mean for us personally? We're coming to the halfway point of Mercury retrograde. Happens 3 times a year, as I said. And in this phase, Mercury retro, July 17th until August 11th, comes halfway tomorrow, the 31st of July. And it will be in early Leo. When that's the case, we are stepping from the epimethean Mercury retro phase, the first half, where it's a lot about old stories, and that can be the stories that circulate in our mind, but also lots of magic by remembrance, and by maybe unfinished communications are being picked up again, and we are connecting mentally to the past. And we're shifting now to the so-called Promethean phase, where it's not about the past, but actually about creating for the future. And a creative element is, of course, also Leo. So what are we creating now, given the process of the last 1.5 weeks or so with Mercury retro? And what have you learned about the creative capacity of the mind? The mind can create all sorts of drama, comedy, tragedy, all of that performance. All of that is very Leo, right? And it can be a lot about the self. So when we see that, when we are mindful of these effects, we can also have some distance from the mind, watch what's going on, even have fun with that, and laugh at it, and see it as a grand show that's going on uh, inside of us. Now, from there, we can also then take that energy and not be so attached to the fabrications of the mind, but actually going forward, creating from our heart, from spirit, from consciousness, and letting the voice of the heart and so on come out and be the servant to the greater spirit, rather than having the mind being in the driver's seat and running the show. So this can be a shifting point, and typically the Sun Mercury inferior conjunction, it is called the new Mercury because it's a Sun Mercury conjunction, and it's also known to be the point or day of enlightening insight. So maybe literally tomorrow or around tomorrow, today, these days, a lot of epiphanies and aha effects and paradigm shifts can occur for you that change the picture, put things into perspective, and yeah, so this is one of the themes this week, the Sun Mercury. Then we have also today, the 30th, we had in the morning Chiron in Aries went retrograde. So also an astrological backdrop for the earthquake situation. Chiron goes retro once a week, and what I say, Chiron goes retro once a year and forward once a year. So it's in this rhythm. It will go retro for about 5 months, and then 7 months it will be direct again. So this retro phase extends from today, the 30th of July, until January 2nd. What happens under Chiron retro, and what's also this U-turn, this transition energy. So when a planet changes directions, it's always a strong focal point. It's just like a car in front of you on the street is turning, is backing out, backing into this driveway and going the other direction. So everybody's stopping and watching and making sure it goes well. So it gets a lot of attention, right? So now it's Chiron gets this attention, and Chiron is end of Aries. And so Chiron's been already in Aries since 2018, 2019 until 2027. So we're in a last phase of that. And we've seen so much wounding, so much medicine, like real healing energy being needed literally in the medical field, but also when it comes from the Aries side to wars, right? So I don't need to explain that. Everybody's aware of all these ongoing wars since especially 2022, but also wars in the medical field before, when Chiron first entered Aries. So what is what initiates wars in the first place? And also, even when it doesn't have to come to war or even conflict, what's with this Aries rush? Why do we always uh, amp up the speed, the pace? Why does it always have to go faster, faster, faster? And why are we in competition with each other? It's also Aries, right? So there's a battlefield energy. What heals the battlefield? And also, what is the origin of the battlefield? What are literally, for all of us, psychologically, historically, early wounds that got us into that mode, and what would help heal those? So we have to literally also with Chiron retro go back to where it all started. And the Aries energy is also about being first. So that can be a competitive element to that, but it's also the theme of who was here first. In other words, indigenous cultures, aboriginal cultures, right? So a lot of healing needed. Lots of old wounds came up, and maybe also you have your own connection with with that topic, with indigenous people. How can we all contribute to healing? And no healing without truth. I don't want to call it reconciliation because that's already has an agenda. I would rather like to call it truth and healing, right? And yes, so Chiron going retro. Then we have also today, this evening, Venus changes signs. Venus goes from Gemini to Cancer. So in Cancer, Venus is very attracted to and shows her love. We can show our loves more easily to tribes, to family, to traditions, to also to our homes, right? Making our home a more beautiful place. This is actually a really nice mutual reception, a theme that comes two ways with Venus entering uh, Cancer, while the moon, the ruler of Cancer, is in Libra, ruled by Venus, right? So a peaceful and a beautiful, harmonious relationship also to our home and at home and with family is very supported. And so also the very mentally oriented Venus in Gemini over the last 4 weeks or so is now shifting into more emotionally and nurturing, caring energy. This is what we're drawn to. And in this country, there's already holiday season, but I also talk to friends in Germany where the holiday season literally also starts with the month of August and goes for about 6 weeks. So perfect time to be gentle, be by the beach, be in the water again, feeling safe again in the water after the threat of tsunami, and feeling very much cared for by the oceans and connecting with oceanic beings would be very apropos. Venus in Cancer as well. Then we have this week. Speaking of the moon, let's go to the lunar activity this month, this week. We have now the moon in Libra, as I said, until tomorrow, 31st in the morning, 10:25 a.m. Pacific. So this is more like a very tranquil and peaceful day, and maybe also a day of making choices because when the moon goes to end of Libra, she will pass what I call the tipping point, the choice point. Maybe choices need to be made, or choices have been made lately that lead to change, as choices do. And it could be about, deliberating and contemplating certain choices. I like to rather call them choices than decisions, to be honest, because it sounds more, um, yeah, it sounds more harmonious and even having more agency, right? Because with decision, it seems like an element of pressure, and I have to make a decision rather than can't say I have to make a choice. I'm making a choice. Then we have the moon in Scorpio. This is where the magic happens. And for lots of us, the moon in Scorpio is also a bit of a scary and not so popular place because a lot of deep stuff can come up that requires processing, and but it can be also the time when we can be real and dive into what's usually hidden, covered, and maybe hidden treasures, right? What's in the background? What's in the underground? I actually heard yesterday from a friend who's got Libra and Scorpio in her chart that here, not far from the breakwater in Dallas, here by Dallas Road and James Bay, there's apparently also there's treasures in the on the bottom of the ocean that divers find apparently from boats. I didn't even know that. So and that's why it's a really popular diving spot there, very scorpionic, right? And of course, symbolically, diving into something emotionally is similar, right? So don't be afraid of the dark. When the moon in Scorpio kicks in, it can actually help process what is otherwise stuck somewhere. And then the moon goes into Sagittarius on on Saturday evening here Pacific at 11 p.m. and will be in Sag all day Sunday, all day Monday. That's wonderful for a long BC day weekend. So be out on adventures, be camping, hiking, all of that, and yeah, sports, all of that is very Sagittarian. Space and freedom, and being on the move. Finding out truth. It can be also very good for storytelling and for yeah, finding new inspiration, maybe for traveling, for the path in general. Then the moon goes into Capricorn at the end of your Astro Week this time on August the 5th. And she goes into Capricorn in the morning, 10:04 a.m. So that's when things get more grounded again. It's also good energy to get, you know, back to work, back to what really bottom line has a priority, needs to be taken care of, and is very rewarding to do with the Capricorn moon. But with the Sag moon, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday evening, Sunday, Monday, awesome time, as I said, for being out having fun. Then let me check what else. Yeah, also this week, as Venus has freshly entered Cancer, as I said this evening, she will almost immediately, well, on August 1st, she will go into square with Saturn retrograde at the very beginning of Aries and Neptune next to it. So what's that about? So there's immediately, as Venus enters Cancer, there's a challenge actually. There's quite some friction. And of course, we had that already kick in with the emergency alerts, or at least warning and advisories and so on. Maybe stay at home, maybe find higher ground. So this whole theme of Aries and Cancer has really played out. And clearly with that Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which has been active all month of July in early Aries, we can really feel now in various ways that I'd say, well, we're not in Kansas anymore. We are transitioning into a new era. And all that comes with it, all the turbulence that comes with it, the freedom that comes with it, and ideally, of course, we want to be empowered in that. And it's not an individual power, it's actually shared power of humanity with Pluto in early Aquarius, which is in sextile to Saturn and Neptune. So it's our shared humanity in this transition time, in this time for more freedom and self-expression also, with the coming up with the Leo Mercury retro and full moon. So all of this is coming forward, and yeah, the next week we will have Mars making a move from Virgo, where it's been for about 2 months or so, a little bit less, and going into Libra. Now we had here in this last week of Mars in Virgo, I'm just trying to find the time when I was basically active all week. Mars end of Virgo in connection with the South Node. So that Virgo South Node really got activated. I believe it was it was already came with the new moon on the 24th, but still rolling out, this week, so to say. The South Node in Virgo with Mars next to it and activated by it. So Virgo, of course, has to do with concerns, with worries, with fixing and solving problems. And Mars gave it a lot of extra boost together with Mercury retrograde, Mercury also ruling Virgo. So, yeah, if you felt it has been one thing after another, so to say, no wonder. But the good news is that things are smoothing out into the month of August. As I said, Mercury Sun conjunction shifting from the first half to the second half, more looking forward and being innovative, having new ideas, what to do with these insights and these refound connections. And also easier, as I said, since Mars and the South Node separate and Mars changing signs. So happy to be the conveyor of good news. Then lastly, we have now we're stepping from the first decanate, the first 10 degrees and 10 days of Leo, which had a Aries undertone, and go until tomorrow, the 31st of July, into the second half, August 1st to 11th, which has a Leo undertone. So it's double Leo, it's central Leo, it's central summer. We're in the gates of power, in this case, the power of love, the power of the heart, also known as the Lion's Gate. And the Lion's Gate is celebrated on 8/8, but the energy of Central Leo, of course, is already coming in, and Lammas is celebrated, Lughnasadh, same thing, celebrated on August 1st, all of that being part of that. So it's a concentrated energy. Let's intentionally be in our hearts, show our love, live life lovingly. This is it for this week. And yeah, have a beautiful week. And also, one thing I still want to say, August 1st, I also start the special of Client Appreciation Month, because August is the anniversary of my astrology practice. In fact, the 25th anniversary was special. And clearly, I want to give back, and I'm giving back through the special of offering clients. The longer you've been with me, or the longer your first session has been ago, the more discount you get. And yeah, get in touch if you're interested. And of course, it already kicked off unofficially. And you're most welcome to book your session for August. Love to see you in person in Victoria or online. Have a beautiful start into this month of August and Central Leo season. Ciao.